Everybody, so we're working on this bear right now. He's not completely finished, but he is crocheted. You can tell I still need to get the eyes on. I still need to make the ears. He's missing arms and legs. We've already made one arm for him, so we're gonna make the second arm during this video. And then it's pretty much the same concept for the legs and how we did the body and kind of how we did the head. The head's a little bit more involved. To get like to get this here from big to thin, it's all a matter of proper increases and decreases in your stitch. Increasing down here, decreasing up here in certain areas. And then just knowing when you've had enough decreases to start building up. So this is kind of more for, maybe we'll do a video on how to start a body. And then when I get to the increase and decrease, we'll record all that at a later time. But I just wanted to show you guys what we were working on since I had finished the scarf. Wonderful photos, so make sure you click on that link I posted. I shared a link from the website to the of the scarf, so make sure you click on that link to check out the scarf. And this is how we get started. I also use polyfill to fill my stuffings or my stuffies, and I usually use acrylic yarn. Just any old yarn's gonna work. Any size yarn. When you do these, I'm using a 4 in width yarn. I'm not sure what the technical terms are at the moment. I don't have it on hand, but it is a size 4 in width yarn. 100% acrylic. And I am also using, let's see, I'm using a size, see if I can get my phone to focus on it. There we go, a size 0, or also known as a 3.25 millimeter hook. So that's what I'm using. You can use whatever, as long as your hook fits, as long as the yarn fits under your hook, you can use whatever size you want. Just note that the larger your hook, the larger the crochet spaces are going to be, and the larger the work's going to look at. So here we go. What I'm doing is I'm going to do a magic circle, and a magic circle is I take my thumb and pointer finger and I pinch the yarn. I put my second finger there. I wrap around and I grab my loop. I feed it under. This is just to grip the yarn. Okay. I take my hook under, grab, bring it up, and maybe do a little twist. Then you go under your yarn that you grabbed, and you pull through to create your slip knot. Let me do that one more time for you guys. One more time. Okay, so we're pinching 2 fingers together, wrap around, and then you're gripping with this finger. This is your working yarn. You're grabbing your working yarn with your finger. You go under your circle you just created, grab your working yarn, bring up and around, and then you grab your working yarn, and then through that hoop that you just made. There you go. Sorry, I had to see. And you have created your, we won't call this your first stitch, but your beginning for your magic circle. And I'll show you why it's called a magic circle in a minute. Tumberry, stop chewing. Okay, so now to continue on, we're going to crochet 5 single crochets into this magic circle to create that arm base. So we're going to go 1. This is considered a single crochet. And these are in US terms as well. Again, and then this is 2. So I'm going through the center of my circle that I just created, grabbing my working yarn, pulling it through. Tomberry, stop! Sorry, guys. My dog's chewing on himself. Okay. Take your yarn. You're pulling through both hoops, single crochets. That's 2. 3. 4. 5. Stop. All right, so we did 5 crochets. So what we're going to do, by the way, you guys, something I forgot to mention, is you want to make sure you leave a long enough tail that you can grip it. And this is why we call it the magic circle, because it magically, by pulling that tail, it closes up. Now, depending on who you talk to, you're going to either, they usually say to chain 1, and that counts as your first stitch for your next row. I personally don't do it. It might make life a little bit easier if you want to chain 1, but when you do that, you want to make sure you chain 1 at the beginning of every row. Now we are going to increase, and how we're going to increase is this first row, we're going to do 2 single crochets inside every single one of these stitches, giving us 10 stitches total. The tricky part is after that, it'll be, we're going to single crochet 1 and then single crochet 2 in the next stitch, and then so forth. So this is, but this is how we grow. And then that single crochet before we do 2 and 1 will always increase by 1 when we go to each row. So let's get started on the next row. So I find that. I always make sure my tail is kind of tucked up with my yarn up here so I can hide it. I grab, just like we did at the beginning. So single crochets. That was 1, and then we're going to go into that same stitch, and then we're going to crochet. And this honestly was a lot easier than what I expected. So that's 2. And then we're going to do it again in the next stitch. So this will be stitch 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, so you're just going to do this all the way until you crochet around. I usually use a stitch marker, but I don't know where my stitch marker is. If you don't have one, you can always take scrap thread, put it in between, put it down underneath your single crocheted stitch to mark it. So I usually do this all the way around till 10. I will get back to you once we're done with that to show you the next row. Okay, so we're at the last stitch. So we're going to go ahead and crochet our 10th stitch here into that same stitch as our 9th. Now I'm going to show you how we do. If you don't have a stitch marker, you can use a scrap to mark your place. I had to go and grab some to cut too. So we're going to go, and this is how I do mine. You can lay it at the base here if you want. If you don't have a traditional stitch marker, you can hold it at the base here. underneath your thumb and finger where you're gripping. Okay, and hold it there to mark your first stitch. Again, we're going to keep an eye on our tail to make sure we're hiding it. Now we're going to go up to, so we're going in a count of 5s. So each row increases in 5. So we start with 5 stitches, we increased by 5, so that's 10 stitches. We're going to increase one more time to 15 stitches. The same concept goes for each stitch, like I said. So this one's going to be you crochet 1, then into your second stitch, you're going to crochet 2 in that stitch. And then once you finish that row, if you want to make it bigger, you'll crochet 2. And then in your third stitch, you're going to crochet 2 in the same, kind of like how we did down here. But let me show you. So it's kind of tricky. See, I even have difficulties sometimes. Okay, so I'm going to get this out of the way, and I'll show you how I do it. Okay, so we're going to, so in our first stitch, we're going to crochet 1, and I have never chained. I don't do the chains. So you can just bring this up, move your crochet hook out of the way. It's just easier for me if I do it this way. Put it down in between your 2. Put your hook back in. Okay, there we go. Sorry, my thread's just... So now, Tomberry, stop! Tomberry! Tomberry! Sorry, dog's itching. Okay, so... Alright, so now we're going to go ahead and grab and finish our crochet. So that's 1. Now you have your stitch marker so you know where the beginning of your stitch is. And then you're going to go into the next one and you're going to crochet 2 into the same stitch. Give me some more thread here. Okay. And we're going to repeat that sequence. Sequent. So we're going to crochet 1 in the next, and then 2, and this is going to help you keep a nice round circle or medallion. So in the same stitch, we're doing 2. Okay, and then 1 in your stitch. And so on the next row, instead of doing 1, so when you do this up row, instead of doing 1 and then 2 in the next, you're going to go single crochet 1, 2, and then 2 in the next row. So 1, 2, and then we're just going to keep going, and I'll show you how you end this row here, and I'll show you a little bit of the next row so you kind of get the idea, but we're not going to continue through because I don't want this bigger than what it is now, because again, I'm working on the arm. And you should be able to find other YouTube tutorials on how to crochet in the round. So that's all you look up is crochet in the round. Bring that out there a little bit more. Okay, so I think I need to do 2 in that stitch. Hold on. Yep, I do. Okay, so in this one right here, so 2 in the same stitch. Okay. And then in the next stitch, you're crocheting 1. And then The next one you're going to do 2 in the same stitch, and that's what you're ending with, is 2 in the same stitch. Okay, now we're back at our first stitch, so we're going to take this out. You don't have to put this back in. I mean, if you're good at counting, you really don't have to put it back in. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you really quick how to do the next round and the following round. So like I said, your single crochets are going to increase where you don't do 2 in the same stitch. So on this row, you're going to single crochet 1, single crochet 2, and then single crochet in the 3rd stitch. The same thing's going to go for your next round and so forth. This is going to increase by 1 each round you go. So this one you're going to do 1 single crochet here, and then 1 single crochet here. That's 2 single crochets, so you did 2 single crochets, and then you're going to do 2 in the next stitch. Just like that. So then on your 3rd row, you're going to do the same thing. You're going to go, but instead you're going to go 3. So you're going to go 1, so you're going to go crochet 1, single crochet 1, 2, single crochet 3, and then in the next stitch single crochet, putting 2 single crochets in your 4th stitch. That's how you do that, how you increase, and it's just going to get wider and wider until you get a bottom like that. And you can make lots of fun things with it, with crocheting in the circle. So I'm going to pull these out because we're going to start from here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to single crochet around 3 times all the way around. And what this is going to do is it's going to create this nice little dome here. This nice little dome. So we are actually going to use, I was thinking about using it, but so let's go ahead and do this. So we're just going to count the stitches. There's 15 stitches. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So you can see it already wants to curl, and then you're just going to kind of turn it here. This is your front end, this pretty, you see these pretty stitch pattern here. This is your front end. This is your back end right here. So you can see the difference between your front and your back. We want this to be on the outside, not this. This doesn't look as pretty as this does. I think I was at 9. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pause this since you see it cupping already. And then we'll get back to you when I'm ready to decrease. Okay, so we're back. We've did 3 rows of single crochets around. If you don't have a stitch marker and you don't want to use your scrap yarn on marking your beginning, another easy way to tell where your beginning is if you look at the bottom right here where you begin your 2 in each stitch. This is your beginning, and then you just kind of can eyeball it going up. Usually it kind of goes an angle, but sometimes, I don't know, yarn is weird. But right here is about my beginning of this row, so we're going to go ahead and start the decrease. So in a lot of patterns, you're going to see something that says crochet 1 and then crochet 2 together, or crochet 2 and then 2 together. So you're pretty much going to do How you increased up here, you're going to work backwards in your decrease. So up here we crocheted 1, and then we're going to crochet 2 together. If you went up to, say, crochet 5 and then crochet 2 in the next stitch, you'll crochet 5 and then 2 together. So you're pretty much working the opposite of what you did to increase. So we're going to crochet 1. Yeah, we're going to crochet 1, and then we're going to crochet 2 together. So we don't pull this through like we usually do. We just let it sit there. Then crochet another one. So now we have 3 loops. Now we're going to grab our yarn and we're going to pull through all 3 loops, just like this. And then you got your decrease. We're going to do that all the way through. So crochet 1. And then 2 together. And then you pull all the way through. Okay? One more time, and then I'm going to pause it until we get to the end. Yeah, we crochet 1. And then 2 together. Just like that. Pretty easy, huh? Now, if you're a super beginner, it can be challenging to manage to do this. It just takes time and practice. It's definitely fun to do. Definitely really easy beginner style crochet. So, beginner in the round crochet, especially if you want to get into like stuffed animals, and these would actually be considered plushies, or I can't pronounce it. I'm not going to try. My husband can. You usually always work in the round when you're doing these types of stuffy projects. All right, so I'm going to finish this row and then we'll get back to you and I'll show you when I add the stuffing. All right, we're back at the beginning. Now I can tell is you can actually tell by how your stitch pattern is right here. You can see that little beautiful pattern it makes when you do 2 together, how the yarns just walk over, and then you have your 1 stitch over here. So then you are ending with your 2 together. Let me get my needle back on. Okay, you're ending with a 2 together, and then you do your 1, kind of like your beginning. It's kind of like your beginning of the row. Again, your beginning of the row kind of moves over just by slight. Usually it moves this way. Usually when the beginning of the row moves this direction and not this direction. So I can say that that's pretty accurate where the beginning of my row is, since I haven't really been paying attention, or since I haven't really been using a stitch marker. Again, I just kind of eyeball my beginning of the row if I don't have a stitch marker and I lost count. If I lose count up here, I eyeball it, make sure it kind of lines up with the beginning of my row down here. So right here is my first stitch and it kind of lines up, so we're good. Now what we're going to do, now that we did our decrease, is we're going to just do regular crochets all the way around until we build up. But as we're going to be adding stuffing. I like to add the stuffing inside because it gives it that nice round, and it also adds more cushiness, makes it more softer, I think. So let's go ahead and do this until so we're just doing single crochets around. We already got our length, we got our width. If you feel like it's too much of a close quarters on the inside for your finger to grip it, another thing you can do is you can hold it, go through, up, and then down. Sometimes that's easier. easier to do, you know, just really, you don't want to, it's okay if you squish your project a little bit, but you just want to make sure that you can get to each of these stitches. Make sure you guys, if you have any questions at this point, you can put them in the comments. I'll reply back with a reply comment. Message the page, let us know, or if you're viewing this on our website blog, you can email the page, or if you visit our website, at the bottom corner, you'll see, I think it's the right-hand corner, you will see a chat message or chat bubble. If you click that chat bubble, you can start a message with us. We reply pretty quickly. If we don't get to you within a few hours, we'll get back to you by the end of the day. Sometimes we're pretty busy. I'm a stay-at-home mom, and right now my husband's working from home, but you know, kids and everything, and we got birds that love to get attention, and you know, we're just a busy family. So we're just going to build up. At this point, I really don't care where my beginning or the end of the row is, because we are just building the length. If it seems thicker than the last time you did yours, you can always make it the leg, make it a little bit longer to fit underneath as leg. Try again, because we're going to pretty much do the same concept for the legs. So pretty much what we're building, how we're doing this is how you're going to do all of the parts, the arms, the legs, and the arms and the legs. So like right now I'm looking at, I'm like, it looks kind of the same, but I think because I'm doing the video, it looks a little bit thicker. Like my stitches are not as tight. Sometimes it's the tightness of your stitches that make it look off. So you want to make sure you have a steady tension when you're making. That's making sure this hoop stays a steady tightness around your hook, as well as tension when you're holding your working yarn. You're holding it tight. You don't want it too tight where you can't move your hook through the hoops. But you don't want it too loose either. So let me go ahead and grab my stuffing. We're going to go ahead and start stuffing this here. I think I'm going to consider this part of one of the legs, and then we're going to do this again. I'm going to do this again off the live, and then I will take pictures of, we'll go live, not live, pre-record, and then I'll pre-record how I do the nose, the eyes. My mom is actually going to embroider words on this one, and then I'm going to build ears, and then maybe a small little tail. I'll do a pre-record on how we do the ears, the same, and the tail is going to be kind of like the same concept. My total time to build these, if I'm not doing a pre-record like this, it usually takes me about 8 to 10 hours from start to finish. This one took me a little longer because I had to rebuild the body for the head. The head was a little too big. So it'll all come together, and you'll see it all coming together once you get the parts on and you start working on the finishing look. All right, so let's grab our stuffing. And again, I'm using polyfill. Nobody sponsors me. I'm not getting paid for anything. I'm doing these videos, except for the only thing, so I don't get like sponsorship like free yarn from anybody. I'm just doing this as a tutorial to help you guys. because sometimes, you know, you have your favorite people you want to watch, or you may want to see how other people do their stuff. So we're just gonna, everybody does things differently, you know, so we're gonna go ahead and, I think I did do my stitches a little too loose here, so that's why. So you don't want to overstuff this either. You don't want to stuff it where you see the, if you see the white between the stitches, then you've overstuffed it. So it's easy to fix, you just take out. So this could actually be considered the leg because you can tell it's a little bit wider. Legs for me, I usually do my legs a little bit wider than my arms. So grab my hook.
What's up?
Nothing.
Oh, I thought you were still recording.
I am.
You called me.
No, I'm still recording.
Okay.
Yeah. Just my leg. This is gonna be a leg, not an arm. Cause look,
I see.
I did it too loose. Oops.
Oops. Oh well.
All right. So we're going to keep going. I'm going to go a little bit more, and then we're going to end this video. So when there's stuffing in the way, again, this is kind of how I grip. Go up and around. I don't even worry about the stuffing poking out. You know, if you're worrying about the stuffing, like grabbing the stuffing and pulling it out with your arm, then you're probably thinking too much into it. You just relax, breathe. This is a, you know, it's a fun project, and you should be having fun doing this. If you enjoy crocheting, you should just have fun doing this. So again, we're just going to do single crochets. So the best part about this is I don't have to rip out anything because, again, like I said, even though it's too wide for an arm, I can still use it as a leg. It's usually how I end up doing it. A lot of times, 90 times out of 10, when I do this, the second time, it always ends up being a little bit bigger than the first time. So then I'm like, whatever. And then I start, and then I just finish it and do it again. So pretty much when you add stuffing is just when you're comfortable adding a stuffing. If you feel like you're getting to the point where you need to add stuffing before it gets too tall, you can. What's really cool about polyfill, when you buy it, it comes with a stuffing, comes with one of these sticks, and at first I was like, what in the world is this stick for? But the stick is perfect for shoving stuffing around, to shove it into your, to help you get it into your project. So let me kind of show you. So you want to grab just a little bit. See, I'm not even using a lot. So instead of using your finger to try to get it in, because it's kind of difficult and it won't go in very nicely, you're just kind of grabbing your stuffing and you're pushing it in. Took me a while to realize that's what this stick is for and why they put it in there. Also for sewing, I'm pretty sure it's used for the same thing. You're pushing stuffing into a small area that you can't get your finger into, but you need stuffing into that area, but not a lot of stuffing. So so if you have something similar to this, it's really handy for putting stuffing into your small areas. I'm going to end it at this, and then I will start again when we do the ears and the tail. We'll do a new video for the ears and the tail, because this is I haven't figured out what exactly this is going to be yet. I was planning on it being a bear, but my husband says it looks like a bulldog or something like that. It looks like more of a dog. So we will see what happens, but I hope you guys have a great day. I hope you enjoyed that mini tutorial. If you have any questions, or if you want to suggest improvements on how we can do the tutorials better, I would greatly appreciate hearing from you. If you are an experienced crocheter and you feel like I can use improvement on something, whether it be my tutorials or how, or any suggestions on anything that I do, like maybe the face or face proportion to body. Definitely feel free to leave comments, positive, suggestive comments. Note we do not allow rude and abusive type comments. So have a great day, everybody. Love you all. Bye.